Hey, folks.
Hello, hey everyone. Hey Matt. Cool. So I think I'll share the Twitter space on my profile and then request you all to also share it as it reaches more people. And then we'll wait for Sarah. And then, anyways, we're recording this space as well. So, yeah. Hello. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly well. Cool. So we'll wait for like couple of minutes more and yeah, and then start. Cool. So I think we can start off. And anyways, we are recording this Twitter space, so we'll be putting it on YouTube after this as well, and then promoting across all our socials. But yeah, I'm so glad to have today Matt and Sarah with us, and let's take a couple of minutes to get an intro from both of them. Matt, do you want to go first?
Hey, sure. Thanks, Nandit. Thanks for inviting us on. So my name's Matt Hamilton. I'm a developer advocate with the FEM side of Filecoin. So I've been involved in helping builders build on top of FEM. And Sarah?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having us on, Nandit, and the whole Lighthouse team. I'm on the same team as Matt, so I'm also a developer advocate for Filecoin Virtual Machine. And yeah, we focus a lot on builder programs. We're actually having a cohort going on right now where we are working with teams to then build on top of FEVM and launch to mainnet.
Cool, awesome. I think that's definitely great to know, and we've been seeing awesome work that you guys are pulling off in last couple of weeks, especially with this Falcon virtual machine launch. And first thing that I want to refer to before we start our spaces, like I was watching this video. Uh, so it was a panel where Yuan Bennett and Vitalik were co-speaking, and I think it was an event by this Wang Xiang blockchain based in Hong Kong. So, and it was I think 1.5 years back, and the guy was asking both of them, okay, what's the best and the most important thing happening in the coming year? And Yuan definitely mentioned that Filecoin virtual machine is the most important launch coming in 2023, and Vitalik himself he mentioned that for them the proof of stake is the most important thing. And I was so happy that last week when I was watching that video that two of these uh, like prime guys in our industry, they said that they're gonna do something and the teams have achieved that. So I'm very proud and like personally like very excited that like the teams delivered and here we are that FEM has launched. And yeah, let's start off with that. Like Matt, uh, how have you been seeing like the launch of FEM? Like it has been very successful launch, and what's your overall thoughts around that?
Yeah, the launch itself was very successful, went very smoothly. It's obviously a very nervous experience when you do this because you've got an existing running network with value on it and people using it, and you're about to make some significant changes to it. So it's always a very nervous experience. But our engineering team had been working really, really well, and big shout out to them. In making sure everything ran smoothly. We were kind of watching it, and a funny little story. As soon as it went live at a particular block height, and suddenly everything seemed to stop, and we were a little bit nervous as to what was going on. And it turned out it was the block explorers were all upgrading themselves. So the network was still running, but it was just the block explorers that were upgrading at the time. So that was a little bit of a nervous moment when suddenly it seemed like everything stopped. But no, everything all went really well, and it's been great to see people now building and deploying stuff on mainnet. That's been really exciting.
Awesome. And Sarah, how has your experience been?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all very excited for launch. I have been very much in touch with the builder cohort leading up to launch as well, and it's good to see everyone really excited and having a much more progressed project at the end of the 6 months that we've been building with them and leading up to launch. So we're seeing a lot of great innovative ideas that are building out their end-to-end solution, and then once FEVM has launched the mainnet, everyone was super excited to try stuff out. People were like, "Oh, how do we get Phil into our wallets? How do we start deploying contracts?" So yeah, really, really can feel the energy of everyone that's excited to build on FEVM with the launch.
Cool. I think that's definitely great to hear. And like since launch, like we have definitely seen a lot of team activities. So what are the top teams that have caught your attention and that you would like to highlight? And Sarah, you can go first with that.
Top teams for me. Well, I mean, obviously, Lighthouse is a top team for us. It has, I think Lighthouse is a really good definition of what we envision our builder teams to progress along to and how they can gain success in the ecosystem. In the sense that, I know you guys were in one of the earliest builders with us, and now you have like a full working solution. It has an SDK, it has a CLI, people are using it and adopting it across hackathons. And I think it's really proven that, this is when you identify a strong need in the ecosystem and you're able to fill that gap and have many other people using your product and building and innovating on top of it. So to me, like Lighthouse is a really good definition of success for early builder teams and teams that are looking to build on the Filecoin ecosystem. I think I love like all the builder cohorts, so it's really hard for me to choose a particular team. We've seen a lot of teams progress really well from like an idea that has pivot, like an initial idea. Like so for example, Mark 3D had like a marketplace example initially, and then that has evolved into creating a new encrypted NFT standard and a marketplace along with that as well. So we can see teams slowly progressing over time. And I think it's really important as a builder team to reach out to see what users are actually needing and do, really comprehensive user research and find a good product market fit before they build out their project.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think before we even touch more on, the current teams building, Matt, do you want to highlight on the top use cases that you see FPF enable for like some of the guys who have joined us new in this Twitter space?
So the top use cases, yeah, there's quite a lot that's kind of enabled by FVM. Two particular ones I'll probably call out are under collateralized lending and data DAOs. So you might be familiar with DeFi primitives on other networks that allow you to say stake some collateral and borrow against it. So I can put $100 worth of say Bitcoin or XRP up onto a network, and I can borrow $50 against that, for example. Now that's over collateralized lending. With the Filecoin network, the way that the storage providers work are the storage providers are paid for storing data, and that fee is put effectively into an escrow contract that's paid out to the storage provider over the duration of the storage deal. So you can look at the network and see that a storage provider has upcoming revenue for the next year or so. And you can then build borrowing and lending against that and allow them to effectively borrow against that future income, a bit like invoice factoring in traditional business. And so that's a really interesting model. And there's projects that are building on top of that. One of them that actually launched their pre-staking yesterday was Glyph, and they've got a whole protocol around this notion of staking pools. So they've got because different pools might have different characteristics. So they've done that, and they've launched the pre-staking for their first pool. They've got called Infinity Pool. So that's kind of one really good use case, and the other one is around sort of data DAOs and building some of the aggregation functionality into FEM. So Filecoin, the way it is designed for storing large amounts of data. And this is where products like Lighthouse come in, because Lighthouse enable people to store smaller amounts of data and aggregate them together and then store them on Filecoin and deal with things like perpetual storage. But up until now, most of that has had to be handled either on another blockchain in terms of a smart contract, or handled in a slightly more centralized, off-chain manner. Well, FEM now allows a lot of that functionality to be moved on-chain onto the XRP ledger, which is really handy. So yeah, that's another great example use case.
Yeah, I'll add in here as well. One other big one that is coming up slowly, slowly and quickly. Sorry, quickly and across many teams that are interested in this is decentralized compute. That's so when Matt talked about the data DAOs, once you have a whole bunch of data, a very natural next step is to think about how you can analyze that data or how you can use it to, I don't know, like create an AI model and stuff like that. So and indexing and different services that you want to do with that data as well. So decentralized compute is going to be really interesting as well. FEVM, very much helps to orchestrate the computation jobs that requires, and then working with a separate computation provider to then provide that service to the data. So we see quite a lot of teams looking into that use case as well.
Awesome. I think that sounds amazing. And one thing that I've been thinking around this is definitely we want to bring in a lot more data to Filecoin, but the fact that we already have like around 600 petabytes of data sitting there. So I think some new team should think about not just creating data DAOs for the new data coming in, but even with the existing data lying on the Filecoin, and that will be very interesting. And like this is something I've been thinking a lot. Like how do you index the current data on Filecoin, and this could be very interesting. Like we already have like big amount of data. I think like NFT storage team is doing something with like their DAO system, and like yeah, I think maybe like Internet Archive guys, like there should be data DAO around them. Who knows? And yeah, and another
Yeah.
thing, yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, no, I was going to say about indexing. I think indexing and indexing data is really one that I think is something we need to solve for, and we need more teams to build on as well. There are quite a few teams that are interested in that. I know Pandor and from Ken Labs is looking into how we can do SQL queries on your data using a sidechain. So rather than doing it on the main chain itself, you do it on a sidechain just because computation is really heavy to do. So yeah, kind of interested to see how that builds out.
Yeah. And I think even I saw with this Glyph launch today morning that I think it's very interesting that they are allowing that every week the miner can return back the collateral. So that level of programmability, because you can foresee into the coming revenues, like into 6 months, 1.5 years of the storage provider lifetime. That is very interesting and caught my attention like this morning itself. And yeah, and I think I want to touch another important point around user experience, like in like overall in it EVM terms. Like we are listening a lot of these new terminologies like account abstraction to improve the UX, and obviously even till now we have seen that the traditional Web 2 applications, like let's say Dropbox, have done a good job on onboarding users and building a great UX. So, how do you think that we as teams building on FVM should think about the user experience, like making like anybody can, or let's say somebody's grandmother can even onboard to Filecoin storage? And so, do you have some thoughts around that? Maybe Matt.
Yeah, I think enabling easier access to Filecoin is a big thing. The way I kind of describe it at the moment is Filecoin is a bit like a 747 jumbo jet. It's great at dealing with large amounts of data and moving large things around. But if what you want to do is just go and do your grocery shopping, it's going to be overkill, right? So I think one of the big areas we've got to look at for enabling developers is to enable them to be able to build on, to be able to store smaller amounts of data more easily for them, so they don't have to kind of bite off the whole system. Filecoin is an immensely complex system just due to the sheer scale at which it works, and a lot of that complexity you kind of have to, at the moment, kind of get involved with to really understand it. Whereas what we'd like to do is try to get to a position where you don't need to understand so much of that, and you can get involved, with much simpler protocols that abstract away some of that.
Yeah, Matt, we talk about this we talk a lot about UX, right? Regarding with Filecoin. I think it's an amazing solution. I think everyone's super excited to use decentralized storage, and even us joining as a DX team. I think Matt and I both have joined like under a year, and learning about this new technology to us. We think a lot about how we can make it very easy for teams to understand. So we take a lot of time to really read through and understand, because there's just so much deep engineering documentation, and there's a lot of like deep learning that the engineering team has really gone into to build out FEVM. But does it make it easy for users to use? And that's something that there is a path, and then there's a lot of education around, and there's a lot of education that's needed around the context of Filecoin, how the Filecoin network works, before you even get to understanding how the FEVM itself works. So what do we do in the case of like hackathons when teams want, they're like, okay, it sounds great, the innovation, but how do I store my stuff? And I only have 2 days to hack. So that's something that we want to make easier and easier as we go along. Like for example, Matt, you're working on that maybe a Docker image that makes it much easier for people to set up the client contract, which is one of our storage deal making methods. How can we make that much easier for developers? And then allowing developers to make it much easier for their users, where their users can just upload any file of any size and have it immediately stored and verified over time, right? How do we make it so simple? And there are like multiple steps for us to get there. So yeah, there's a lot of discussion around UX.
Got it. And another question that I want to ask, particularly Matt, is like I see Matt with a lot of Twitter followers and building great community, and he's super active into like definitely Filecoin and FPM, even like in XRP, as I see some of his tweets. So Matt, what are your suggestions for maybe even teams like us who want to build like a successful community, not just like on the product side, but even like setting up the whole storyline of the product, like what should we do to educate our users, like even like we did some integrations with sometimes like Ocean and couple of other projects, and we realized that yeah, maybe it could have reached more people, or we could have done some better community engagement. So what's your thoughts on how do we build a successful community around products on FEM?
I guess so. The first thing is make sure you know who you are targeting and what the value proposition is to those people, right? Who's your target audience? And don't say everybody, right? Because if you're trying to target to everybody, you're targeting nobody, right? So you've got to work out, and that doesn't mean you can't target everybody eventually, but you've got to focus at each point in time on working out what is the specific value proposition to the audience that you are targeting. Then in terms of like building that community, where do those people hang out, right? They're not necessarily going to come to you. You've got to go to them, right? Are they working within other communities? Are they working on other things? Like, Sarah and I were talking about this, and we were seeing from a lot of the hackathons we're seeing, for example, from FEM point of view, a lot of people use Lighthouse. So we should come and be a part of the Lighthouse community. Hence, we're here talking with you, right? And talking with your users about what FEM can offer. Similarly, we see a lot of people in our hackathons using layer 2 networks like Polygon. So what is it that we can offer to users on Polygon that is of value to them? So can we, for example, build a way in which you can interact with Filecoin storage information from Polygon, right? Can we use something like Hyperlane or one of these cross-chain messaging systems to allow people to build something on Polygon that can interact with Filecoin, right? So it's a case of going where the people are, building the community. Don't taking yourself too seriously. We work a lot within Web3. Web3 is a very can be quite a jovial place, and it's fine for personalities to shine within that. And it's a case of kind of meeting people, chatting to people, building relationships with people, and really just kind of building upon that bit by bit. It takes time, but yeah, it's that's kind of what you've got to do.
That's amazing suggestions, like around finding the target audience and not saying everybody. I think that definitely is very sound suggestion. Um, and Sarah, do you want to add into this, and especially the cross-chain part on how can FEM add value to maybe NFT applications on Polygon, let's say, or other projects building on these cross chains? I see Seller already supporting FEM, and they also have some wrap tokens already live. So do you want to touch some cross chain parts?
Yeah. So I think FEVM has ways to go. I think how we envision it is that FVM, maybe not FEVM, but FVM itself is able to use across various chains as a storage component. I think Ethereum is obviously the first choice for us because it's such a huge community. We're thinking about, and now that we're on EVMs, how do we then make it available, showcase to developers how it's really easy to use on Polygon as well. How can we, like we were talking about, maybe using like a cross-chain bridge to then work together, like have the storage component on a demo or a app that is built on Polygon, to enable all these. And then I think in the future, how can we think about different chains that we want to be compatible with, or how can we work with like different tooling to allow developers to build their projects on different chains? So for example, we were talking to um, well, yeah, this is a little bit different, but yeah, we were talking to like Polywrap, and different tooling that they have that allows you to, build on top of whichever chain or whichever SDK that you're familiar with. So, if there's such a tool that we could use for different chains as well, that would be really useful to be able to include FVM pretty seamlessly, the same way that you use Ethereum tooling today to build your dApp. And then if you can do that on different chains, that any chain of your choice, like that would be super great, right? Because everyone does need storage as well.
And that's actually another point, just to build on that as well, is look at what other ecosystems and toolings your users are a part of, right? So what other tools are they using, and make it easy to use those tools with your product, right? Because at the end of the day, the easier you make it for your community to use your product, the more they're going to use it, right? So look and see, and if everybody is using some particular library or whatever, then go with that. Have a look at that. See if you can integrate that in as well. Because if you can leverage their community of their users as well, then you can dramatically, build and increase your own, with that.
Yeah, you really need to have like a close relationship with your builders and really listen to them. Like for example, one of our builders from Karen from Shell team reached out and she was like, "Hey, you're at East Denver now, and it seems like gasless transactions are something that we should really look into, and that is something that we're looking into now. But we would never have thought of that if we didn't actually have that connection with builders. Like we ourselves, among the three of us, wouldn't have thought of it, right? So I think, yeah, keeping a close relationship with your builders and taking their feedback and showing that you're actually acting upon it and invested in their success is going to be really important to build a community around your product.
I think that totally makes sense. And even the tooling part is very important because I think if you notice, like just as a simple tool, like let's say MetaMask, where now anybody can easily connect to Filecoin network. And previously they had to, let's say, go through a Phil Fox wallet, and many people were like, okay, how should I do it? But now a lot of people can onboard because MetaMask is used by most other developers and ecosystems already. So I think definitely all of your points make sense. And I think one thing that I also think that we will definitely see a lot of infrastructure projects coming on to FEM. Like we currently saw that LivePeer, they are using Arbitrum for all their transactions and node publishing. But now I'm already seeing like folks like LivePeer, Ocean, and maybe soon in future, let's say Render, Akash, they should definitely be using FVM because I see like there's no reason why they should use just Ethereum or Polygon because that disconnects from the infrastructure a lot. Um, yeah. And yeah, I think Sarah, I want to ask you another thing, which is like, how should now builders, like, how can builders succeed building on FM? Like, what are the resources that you and Protocol Labs as a team are providing?
Yeah, I think so. It really depends on where you are in your journey. We have a whole different range of teams of different maturity with the Filecoin ecosystem. So if you've been around for a long time, working with our engineering team is going to be our best resource because you're already brought up to speed. And we have a super active community on Slack. If you join the Filecoin Slack, we have our engineering built out in the open. You can join the channel and join the discussion there. So that's usually where we see the more mature teams going to build successfully with us. If you are just starting out though, we have quite a lot of starter kits that we're working on right now. So we have a hard hat starter foundry kit, a hard hat starter kit for you to use to get started as a quick start into deploying your first FEVM contract. And then we have within that kit as well, two different ways that you can actually make a storage deal with FEVM and making that, and then you can take that and then make it part of your DApp as well. There are two methods there, and I think it's really easy to use. We also have a Foundry kit. So if you're more familiar with Foundry, that should be out by the end of the week. Like we have, which is today, we have a starter kit for you to use, and it very much mirrors the hi-hat kit as well. And then we're also working on a few other starter kits that are more vertical solutions that are based off the two more framework focused starter kits that I just mentioned, where there's one that is focused on just storage deal making, and then Matt and myself are working on one on data DAOs, and we'll see what the last one comes up with, depending on what our builders are most interested in. So we're working on a whole framework of different starter kits that you can use to get your project going. It should all be available pretty soon on Awesome Filecoin.
Cool, awesome. That's definitely great to know. And meanwhile, I think I'll also invite if anybody in the audience wants to come and ask any questions to Matt and Sarah. And I also see like a couple of great builders in our audience, like Rishikesh, File Market guys. So yeah, Rishikesh, do you want to come up and share any update to creds that you're building? And yeah, and I think another thing that I wanted to point out is that with FVM coming in, we have seen like almost the data being stored on Lighthouse doubled. Like even like around the launch date, like there was like a lot of more addresses like now storing data on Lighthouse. Number of files are like almost doubled since they were like past 2 months, and we are like definitely the launch of FVM has helped us as a team a lot to gaining more traction.
Oh, do you say almost double?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, see, exactly. I think, yeah, I think, right now we're having an internal like dog fooding campaign where we're trying to work on using the products in our ecosystem and the teams that are building different things on our technology and trying it out to be able to give feedback. But yeah, I mean, as much as possible, like this is great. Like, I'm so happy that, something that has been built in our ecosystem is being used well by the ecosystem and gaining success there.
Yeah, and I think there are like other updates from our end as well. Like we are almost like done with our white paper. I've already sent to a couple of folks to go through it, so we'll be releasing it soon to the community. It's like a version one, but we have like something very interesting planned out on the perpetual storage side, which I think might have not been worked on before ever, and will provide like a lot of value to all the projects building in the FVM ecosystem. So that is something that will be soon to be announced in coming month. Uh, and then like there like ton of progress overall. So yeah, Rishikesh, do you want to highlight some things at Cred? Like I've been seeing like a lot of great progress on your side as well.
Yeah, uh, thanks for this. Yeah, so I have been trying to, create the identity layer for FPM. So the progress so far is we are done with the most of the contracts part. We have also introduced a ZK badge, a new concept here. Right now we are on the creating the documentation, and the documentation which is focused for developers to create their own customized identity solutions, because when we look at other identity solutions right now, there are some restrictions, we can have maybe just create an identity or create a claim for whether you are having a particular NFT or not. But maybe the developers can come up with an innovative idea. They can just customize 2 or 3 conditions and then issue a particular claim. So that is what I'm trying to do with creds protocol here. So just moving on with the documentation part.
Cool. Those are some amazing updates, and I've been seeing like how Rishikesh is like full on updating with each and every new update. I think he also posted like an explorer, like NFT explorer. I'm like, that's so simple and important thing that we need, and nobody hasn't worked. And glad to see Rishikesh built a version of that. So excited overall.
Yeah, huge shout out to Rishikesh. I mean, you asked me earlier about successful builder teams. And Rishikesh is one of them for sure. Like he started probably about 6 months ago with us and was just new and interested in experimenting and curious as one of the early builders in our cohort. And yeah, he has built it out to a point where now he has a full running project that many teams are adopting as he goes along. So yeah, really impressed with Rich. And he's also like mentoring the community, the other part is always give back to your community as well while you build. So yeah, super proud of him.
Cool, awesome. I think we are almost near the end. So, any closing thoughts, Matt, from your side?
Yeah, I just want to say keep building. We've got a bunch of stuff coming up. We've got a number of events coming up and hackathons that we're working on as well. So we've got ETH Tokyo. Sarah's going to be in Tokyo for ETH Tokyo, and there's a hackathon in person there. We've got our own hackathon running on the DevPost platform as well that will be coming up. That is called, I believe, the FEM Dataverse. So keep an eye on that. And if you're not already following the FEM Dev Twitter account that's in the spaces here, click on that, the one with the FEM logo, and follow that. You'll see a lot of information about upcoming events, hackathons, etc. With regards to there. And also just a shout out as well, Sarah and I run a Twitch stream every Thursday. So it is at 1600 hours UTC. So it can be a little bit late for Asia Pacific, but we're also going to start doing some other ones as well in the run up to one of the hackathons that might be a bit more Asia Pacific time zone friendly. But if you go there to if you go to twitch.tv/philbuilders, then follow the channel and you get notification when we go live as well. We talk about stuff that's going on with FEM and Filecoin Network. We demo things as well. So yesterday we had a talk. We were kind of going through how you can move Phil between the different wallets and get it from, say, like Binance through to a Glyph burner wallet through to MetaMask, and then use it within MetaMask, for example.
Yeah, it's actually hard for us to see what the topic is going to be because every week we get on and we're like, wow, 10 things have happened in the past week. What do we want to talk about today again? So we'll see, but come by and join us and you'll see what's up with FEM.
Amazing. Yeah, I see even some of the folks in our Discord coming in and pointing to your Twitch streams and asking, okay, how can we accomplish this? So definitely worth joining for everyone. Yeah.
Sure. And if there's builders that want to come on the Twitch stream, reach out to us because really this is the whole part of this is to get people on to showcase what they're building. We've kind of got a bit of a mantra, no code, no talk. So if you want to come on, show us some code, show us what you're building. These are aimed at developers, for developers by developers. So come on if you want to. If you're interested, then reach out to us, and we'll try and schedule you to come on.
Awesome. Sounds good. I think we'll end here, and thank you, Matt, Sarah, for being us with here today, and also everyone who joined us on this Twitter space. But yeah, we'll keep doing this on every Friday and explore a new topic in the FEM world. So thanks, everyone.
Great. Thanks
Thank
a lot,
you,
Nandit.
London.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.